CJ, aka Uncle Paw here. Hey, I got another good one for you today because we got Labor Day coming up, and I know people gonna be out, outside smoking some meat, barbecuing. So I want to put this video together of some whole beef brisket that we're gonna do on the pit today. All right, we're gonna do it Texas style. So don't go nowhere. This is Uncle Paw's Kitchen. Alright fam, welcome back. Alright, so we're going to get into this brisket, Texas style, and let me give you 4 reasons why it's called Texas style, or what makes it Texas style. One is you don't see any bowl or cup of injection. We're not injecting the meat. Typically, anytime I'm cooking brisket, I normally inject, but when we're doing Texas style, no injections. That's one. 2, and reason why leads us to number 2 is because we're going to cook this fat side up, and we're going to let that fat, as it melt, just kind of baste the meat as it's melting off into the bottom of the grill. All right, number 3, why it's Texas style, is the seasoning. Now this here is my Uncle Paw's Texas style seasoning. It's very close to our steak seasoning. Just minus a couple of ingredients, but this here is just salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, and of course celery powder. It is Texas style. Now you're thinking maybe we'll have just salt and pepper. Well, that was true for us Texas style, long ago, but now a lot of the restaurants or smokehouses, especially in Central Texas in that Lockhart, Austin area, considered the capital of smoking meat. A lot of their meats are now changing. You'll see some of them will have onion powder, garlic powder, have paprika, things like that, which we don't have any paprika, no cumin, no coriander, no chili powder, no type of sugar, anything like that. We're just going with salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, and celery seed. And those last three, it's just for that small savory note. So, and the number 4th and last reason why it's Texas style is the wood that we're going to be using outside is straight post oak. So what we're going to do today for us getting this meat ready is we're going to do some trimming. Right here we're going to take off a lot of this silver skin, this fat that's sitting on top. We're not going to dig into it. We're just going to kind of just skim across, just taking the fat off. All right, and then this piece right here, this fat decal right here, we're going to cut that out as well, and we're going to throw that away. This fat that we see right here on top, we're kind of just going to throw that away. This big old piece of fat right here, it's not going to render down. It's not nothing. So we're going to cut that out as well, and then we're kind of right here as well. So all this and this fat here, we're just kind of cut out to leave that open for here. Now Texas, really no burnt ends, but I'm gonna go ahead and make some to show you what they look like. Real best part of the meat. And then also we're gonna trim off some fat on the backside. So of course we're gonna take off that big flat, and then we're gonna trim this down to about 1/4 inch. Trim it down to about 1/4 inch will help for it to break down and melt away and then melt into the meat. And we're gonna trim off here. This is like again where our burnings come from. We're going to trim the back of this off as well, because we want bark on all sides except, of course, the inside where we're going to cut it of the burn end. So we want that bark all the way around as much as possible. Again, we're going to cut down this fat cap a little bit, and then we're going to trim it. And we're going to trim it, just kind of straighten it up a little bit. So we're going to kind of just trim it up a little bit. We're going to trim right here, and of course we're going to trim right here to kind of just make it just straight as possible. You always want to cut against the grain when you're slicing brisket, and the best way to know is once you cook it, so you look at it before you even start cooking it, look at the grain where it's at right now, and it's going that way. So we know that we're going to score it just like that. So I know to when after it's cooking, I can't see the striations. I already know I have these grooves to cut it this way. Now we're gonna cut it this way until we hit right here where it starts to separate. There's a little thin piece of fat right here that's gonna stay. It's all gonna render down. As soon as we hit that, as you can see, the grains start to change. Then we're gonna turn it. Instead of cutting this way, we're gonna turn it, and we're gonna cut it this way. And this is where you get your lean, and this is where you get your moist from, which also becomes sometimes can be chopped. All right, fam. Trimmed it up nicely. Got it all smoothed out. Got little straight lines. Cleaned a lot of that devil fat out of there. Still got some in there, but if I go any deeper, it's gonna separate. That's what's holding the two meats together. So, but I cleaned a lot of it out of there. So when it is finished cooking, before I do my slices, I can just hit that right there. Just barely hit it with my knife, and it'll separate. Then I have my flats for my lean pieces, and then right from the bottom portion right here to here, I have all my moist slices, and then of course this right here will be our money muscle, where I took a lot of the fat off on all the sides, so we'll get that good bark all the way around. So now let's just go ahead and let's just season it, oil it up and season it up. Again, I like to use my trusty grape and olive oil blend. So just go ahead and just rub a little bit in. Now again, you want to remove as much fat as possible, because I didn't kind of dig my knife. Thus part I just lift up the meat just to kind of give it a curve so I can't get my knife to it. But again, like I said, I'm not gonna dig my knife in there. I'm not gonna take too much fat off. Get as much as I can, because that way your rub adhere to it. Now I do go ahead and oil the fat cap, and I do season that as well. Again, as it's going down, a little piece here. As it is going, it's taking the oil, which is helping it break down and crisp up, but then also the seasoning that we're going to put on the back side of it is also going to come down into the meat. All right. So when you're using any type of seasoning that's heavily salted or has some salt in it, make sure you kind of swirl it around, because salt is a little heavier than everything in here, so it's going to drip to the bottom. So make sure you give it a good shake, and then as you season it, make sure you are just kind of shaking it. So, and I just kind of lightly just do the fat area. Get my edges. Do this side here, get all my edges on this side, so I don't have to I don't mess up the rub that I put on my meat by trying to lift it up. Get my burn ends. Just pat it in. Get the flip. Check it out one more time. All right. Now, on the meat side, we're gonna generously season. This big old piece of meat, it can take it. It can take it, trust me. This is gonna be a long cook too. We're gonna cook it at 275, 295. And it's gonna cook about 8.5 to 9 hours. What we're gonna do is we're gonna let it go for about 4 hours. Spritzing it, and our spritz is going to consist of a tablespoon of butter, a tablespoon of hot sauce, and 2 cups of water. That's it. We're not trying to really add a lot of flavor. Just the vinegar is going in the hot sauce. It's going to break it down. Butter's going to add a little richness to it, and of course the water's just to keep it moist. All right, so got that nice and seasoned. All right, so this beef here, we're gonna let it hang out. It's gonna take some foil and kind of drip over the top of it. Beef is the only thing that you can let sit out, and you want it just like if you had steaks, you want to let it get up to room temperature. So we're gonna let this hang out. Meet you outside, we'll get our pit going. Already got the coals on. All I need to do is just add the wood. See you then. All right, fam. We outside. I said the coals going already before I started the meat. Of course, they are ashed over, ready to go to add some wood to it. Again, like I said, true Texas style. Post oak. Got a couple logs. This should last us, being the size of our box. Should last us about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and then I'll put this big old monstrosity on here, and that'll finish it out. It'll cook out for the rest of the day. All right. So we'll let these go for about 20 minutes. Let the wood get hot. Let it start to smoke. Once I see the smoke, I'm gonna close that down. Once I see the smoke turn a good, light white smoke coming out the stack, then we know we'll be good to go. All right, be back. All right, fam. Outside's been about 20 minutes. Coals are down. Straight wood now. It's got a very light smoke, or white colored smoke. So it's ready to be put on. I do have a water pan in here. Again, I'm not doing any injection. All we're doing is just spritzing. But I want to put a water pan here and just keep some water inside the chamber just to help with the moisture inside the brisket. So we're gonna go ahead and put it on. Look at that, gorgeous, ain't it? All right, we're gonna put the point towards the hottest part. This part here, the last little piece is called a throwaway, really. Pretty sure they got a technical name for it, but I usually chew on that piece. And then the second piece, of course, chew on that one, but then that's where we start our cut. But you can still see all the pepper, the salt, a little bit of the garlic and the celery sitting on top, so this will be a nice cook. All right, again, we're gonna let this go for about 4 hours. Looking for a temperature about 160 before we wrap it. Wrap it in our butcher paper, and then we'll let it finish out until it hit 205. See you when it hits 160. I found that. Look at that gorgeous meat right there. So it's been 4 hours. It's time to wrap, but let's check the temperature. I want to show you something. Just the ambient area right here is about 110, but I'll move away from the ambient temperature. Show you that how it's slowing down. This is Texas weather right there. Slowing down. Texas weather, 106. So, probe. $149, of course, as close you're gonna get. And then here at the money muscle, 151. So some different ranges and things like that, but nonetheless, we're gonna go ahead and take it off. It's been 4 hours. It's got the color we want. We don't need any more smoke. Go ahead and wrap it in butcher paper if I can time it just right for the wind to stop blowing. It is hot. So we're gonna just wrap it. So we're gonna put it back on the grill. Still fat side up. And we'll go ahead and put in our probe. Set it at 205. As soon as the alarm goes off, we'll give it an hour after that. Let it rock and roll. Don't need to add any more logs. We'll just open up the vent and let it stay at a 275 temp. It should go about another between 3.5 to 4.5 hours. All right, see you then. All right, fam. We back. It's been a minute. After we wrapped it, we let it sit. It was sitting around 295 in the pit. Trying to maximum relaxing. We ran into a stall. And what a stall is temperature hits, your meat hits a certain temperature, and it just hangs out at that temperature, for a while. It was trying to get up to 205, and it hit around that 180 mark, and it just sat there. And it sat there for a good, 35, 40 minutes. It's the longest stall I ever had, but nonetheless, it hang out there. You can hit it with some more wood or some more heat to try to increase the temperature inside the chamber. Been resting for about an hour. Went and did everything inside because it's dark outside right now, because I did start it a little bit later in the morning, so ran out a little sunlight with that stall. So let's go ahead and open it up together. Oh man, look at that bark. Of course, using parchment paper, it helps you maintain that bark. Man. All right, so we're going to flip it over so we can get our slices on. Remember, we cooked it fat side up because we did not inject it. Did the Texas style. All right. So here's our slices that we know to cut it against the grain. But we're going to go ahead and just follow this groove all the way down. To separate the two. Let's go ahead and get our slice on. As I told you, the first one, I always and we doing 1/4-inch slices. Oh man, and right off the bat, get that just straight salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, celery. The basic rub. It's Texas style. Oh man, the juice is still just pouring out. I want to go ahead and get a slice for you. Still warm. Look at how it bends over. That's what you're looking for. And even the fold test where it doesn't break. Now let's do the pull test. Breaks apart easily. Oh yeah, that is good. See what our burnt ends? These right here, this is where we're gonna get our moist slices. We're gonna go ahead and cut off some of this burnt end. So you can see. Use this bark all the way around. Down the middle, and let's make little inches. Ooh, that's some good bark right there. Let's look at the tail. All right. Good bark all the way around. See the marbling. Oh man, just melts in your mouth. Just melts in your mouth. That's what a burnt end is supposed to do. Get that good bark, that crust, bite into it, all that flavor. As soon as you chew, and just meat just melts. That's what you're looking for, right? Texas style beef brisket. Started off with just, no injection. Went with fat side up, We season with just salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, and celery powder. Again, cook the fat side up, let it hang out around that 275, 295 for about 4 hours. Looking for a temperature of 160. Get there, but mainly you want to get to where you're perfectly good with the color. Wrap it up in some parchment paper or butcher paper so it can retain that bark, and just let it go up to a temp 205. There you got it. Texas style brisket at its perfection. As always, try it yourself. Send me a picture, send me an email, let me know how it turned out for you. I'm Uncle Pawpaw. I appreciate you watching Uncle Pawpaw's Kitchen. All right now.